all right? Sure.
No, I am not giving mine up.
Can you hear me?
That's okay. Oh, we're on now.
Testing.
All right, good stuff. Okay, guys, I would love to know, what was your audition like? How did you get involved in Friday the 13th in your movies? Let's start with you, Ron.
I had worked for Sean Cunningham before. They were in production. And that particular day, I happened to buy Daily Variety. And I was in a diner in Manhattan. I'm opening and reading it. And I see a little ad, Friday the 13th, the famous ad with crashing through the glass. You know that ad? Directed by Sean Cunningham. I said, hey. And it was raining that day, lucky for me. So I called him. I called him at home. I said, Sean, it's Ron Millkie. I hear you're doing a movie called Friday the 13th. And he said, yeah. I said, well, anything for me?
That's what we all say.
Cut right to the chase. And he said, oh, Ron, we're sorry. We're already cast. And, we're in production now up in New Jersey. I said, okay, Sean, keep in touch. And just as about I was to hang up the phone, this is before cell phones, I hear, Ron, wait a minute. And I said, yeah. He says, you know what? There might be something for you. I was going to play the part, but there's a cop part that you might be right for. So we'll overnight the sides to you, and you come on out to Camp Crystal Lake and audition. So a couple of days later, I was up there, and I was reading with Kevin Bacon and Adrian King and Robbi and all these people that had already gotten the parts. And so I read the scene, and I remember Harry Crosby said, I'm duly impressed. But Sean Cunningham didn't say anything. So we walked up the hill, and he said, you got the part, learn the lines, we'll see you next week. So that's how we got the part.
Wow, that was great. I didn't know that, Ron. Well, I auditioned. I was auditioning for something else, and I went to the casting office of Julie Hughes. Julie Hughes and Barry Moss were casting directors, but they cast musicals always. But this time, I went in, and Julie Hughes said, Robbi, you're not really right for what I'm doing right now, but they're looking for camp counselors down the hall, and you'd be perfect. So I said, okay. So I went down the hall, and I don't remember who I even met there. There was nothing for me to read or anything. And so I got a call back, and the call back was at the Minskoff Theater, one of their rehearsal rooms, which sort of makes sense because Julie Hughes and Barry, they did musicals, and so they probably just booked the Minskoff, which is this gigantic rehearsal room. And I'm a dancer. I saw you doing a shuffle of the buffalo. Pretty good, girl.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of practice.
Yeah. And I was an acrobat as well. So in the rehearsal room, I met Sean Cunningham, and there was still nothing really for me to read. There wasn't anything for Annie to read. So I was like, Sean, watch this. And I was tumbling for him in the watch this, I can do this, and get a Randolph up, for him, and they were just looking for counselors. Everybody was going in for counselors. And I'm trying to remember, I think I read some sides, some dialogue, but it wasn't for Annie. It was some other character, I can't even remember. And I think Sean just really liked me, and he wrote in Annie's part a little bit bigger, and that's how that happened, and I got the part. And it was funny, I went out to California, and I guess he wasn't sure if I was going to take the part. I don't know, that was ridiculous, because I know I took the part. But he called me in California, and he says, will you be joining us this August at Camp Crystal Lake? And I said, oh yeah, I'll be there. And so that's how that happened for me. Yeah.
Pretty similar story.
Yeah.
No, I've been doing TV.
Tumbling?
Yeah, no, not that. Oh yeah, I tumble down and up hills now and break things.
Aww.
But anyway, but
yeah, pretty similar story. Acting in New York, doing a lot of TV commercials, and the casting call went out, and it was for a nice all-American girl, not too sexy at all. And they said, "Oh, Lauren," you know. So the casting director had put me in a lot of TV commercials, and they called my agent. My agent sent me in. I read for the part of Vicky, and that's really all I had to do. And I got the call a few days later saying, "Pack your bags, you're going to camp." I mean, it was really very quick and very easy. Yeah.
So, yeah, same kind of thing. I actually had been doing a show on Broadway called Gemini. So Fran Cuman and Mark, Cuman.
Wow, really? They've been with Gemini?
Yeah.
I was.
That's so cool.
But anyway, so I had known them from other casting things and whatever, and they called me in and asked me if I wanted to read for this, and you know, of course, you want to. And you know, at the callback, I was reading for Steve Miner, who was the director, and they were teaming Jeff's up with Sandra's. And so I go into the room, and I had this young lady who was auditioning for Sandra, and she was so excited. She was just bouncing off the wall. She could not focus to save her life. She was just like, going crazy. And so I turned to Steve, and I said, "What? Are you kidding?" And he connected with me right then and there, because we both realized this girl was on another planet. And
Did she get the part?
She did not. She did not, but I did. That was not Marta bouncing off the wall.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Marta, who ended up, playing Sandra, until actually, Stu and I, because we were all from New York, we kind of got together because Stu Charno was a jazz pianist, and he would play at different venues, and we would go listen to him play. So the three of us were friends before we got to the set. So that was fun.
Oh my goodness.
Can I nerd out a little bit, hearing about your guys' theater? So this is for any of you who want to answer. I'm a big Robbi nerd, specifically a big musical nerd.
Me too.
Big. And I'd love to know, for any of you who wants to answer, favorite either play or musical.
Oh, I'll jump in. I was in the original company of Barnum.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And yeah, I'm a huge musical theater person. But I'm a huge, I love Sondheim.
Mm-hmm.
For my birthday, I'm gonna go shoot Into the Woods in LA. But my favorite, oh my God, how could we not mention the West Side Story? Right?
Yeah.
I played Anybody's a couple of times. Like West Side Story is way up there, of course. I mean, oh my God, I don't wanna monopolize this, but you just hit a subject that is my favorite.
You guys hit a subject. I'm like, musicals, you say? Oh, what's that? I will talk musicals before everyone here.
Yeah, but I just saw all of the new ones. That's what my shirt's from. This is from Some Like It Hot.
Oh, yes.
Broadway.
Oh yeah, that's a great production.
Oh my goodness, so Some Like It Hot, I saw New York, just recently. And Parade was absolutely magnificent.
What are we talking about?
Musicals. or plays.
Here's
If you like
Mr.
great plays,
Musical
or
Comedy right
What's
here.
the original question?
Favorite musical or play?
Yeah.
I think they'd rather hear what my favorite horror film is.
Okay, there.
Go ahead, go
To be
ahead.
honest, I've got two that really scared me. One of the Friday the 13th, sorry about that. To me, The Exorcist.
I wasn't going to see that. I was too scared to see it.
That's, and nothing's come close to that. By the way, did you know that Ellen Burstyn has got a new one coming out, a remake of The Exorcist?
Yes.
I'm going to be there. And my second one favorite is Scream. Scream. That's it.
I mean, certainly in terms of musicals or whatever, I did a lot of musicals when I was a kid, and then decided when I came to New York that I was going to be a serious actor and did not audition for musicals or anything. But, you know, at one point during a summer, I did Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar in Honolulu with the Honolulu Symphony Orchestra in the Waikiki Shell. So I did have a voice at one point.
You sure did if you played Jesus.
Yeah, and I thought that, you know, from like junior and high school on, I thought musicals were going to be my life. And then I went to SUNY Purchase as an acting student and decided, no, I'm going to be serious. Which was probably the stupidest thing to do. Because, you know, there's nothing, you know, certainly you can be very serious in musicals. And you know, you have to have acting chops no matter what you do.
Right.
And that was kind of a very snobbish thing for me to think.
Well, also, Bill, you know, let's piggyback this, carry on with Ron, favorite musical, but also favorite scary movie. If you like them. Not your own.
Oh, man.
There's nothing else to say.
You know, certainly, you know, I have to agree with Ron that probably The Exorcist was the first thing that just, you know, scared, you know, my socks right off.
The commercial,
Huh?
even the commercial for
Oh,
The
yeah.
Exorcist, when you heard that music, it was like, shit.
And, you know, when you talk about music, I mean, certainly, Harry Manfredini with our theme.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that is
Yes.
a theme that as soon as you hear it, you know what it is. It's Friday the 13th. You know it's Friday the 13th, even if you just hear a couple of notes.
Yes.
So music is extremely important. You want? What's up? You want?
All I can say is The Shining. Anybody?
Another one I didn't see.
The Shining, nothing much but just, you know, blood across the screen, the twins, more blood, the twins.
Yeah.
Just fades to black.
Nicholson's face.
Oh,
Just
I know.
this weird, scary face.
Yeah.
All you have to do is just make that smile. You're like,
I
ah.
The Omen, love The Omen. The original, yeah.
Music's hitting them, too.
Any audience questions? Yes.
I've got the perfect musical horror movie crossover question. In What About Helen? I know, sorry, what's wrong with Helen?
What's the matter with
What's the matter with Helen? Yeah, you were really good in that. But I was wondering, because everybody seems to have them, do you have any crazy Debbie Reynolds stories?
Well, you know, What's the Matter with Helen is a horror movie that I did when I was a little girl.
Yeah.
And it's scary as hell because it's not like Friday the 13th or any of the movies that we're talking about. It's sort of very old school scary.
Yeah,
You
crazy.
know, like this one guy, you wanted to know about Debbie Reynolds, any scary Debbie Reynolds or show. It wasn't Debbie Reynolds that was scary. It was, as kids, they wouldn't let us near Shelley Winters. And they told us, they said to us,
I was wondering about that too.
nobody can go near Shelley Winters because she was, you know, preparing for, like, she was real scary in that movie, you know? And so they wouldn't let us near her. So I remember that being, you know, very vivid in my mind as a kid. And also, one little tidbit, us kids, we were in Debbie Reynolds' dancing school in the movie. And at the time, so we were on stage and we were doing this big musical number, and they didn't tell us that they had a professional screamer in the wings. Because in the movie, there was a murder in the town. And Shelley Winters was backstage. She was sewing a costume and she got blood on her hand. And in her mind, she saw the dead body laying there and started screaming. They didn't tell us kids, and they had a professional screamer. And so you see all of our faces like, we're dancing, right? All of a sudden you see my face go, yes, because they scared the shit out of us kids. They didn't tell us that they were gonna do that, that they wanted the reaction, you know? So that was one thing. And then one more thing about What's the Matter with Ellen that was just, to this day, my brother knows, and don't any of you do this to me. In the movie, her Debbie Shelley Winters' name was Helen Hill. And and there was somebody looking for her concerning this murder. And there was this guy that comes walking up the stairs, and they amplified his feet, so it was like, Mrs. Helen Hill. Oh, Mrs. Helen Hill, so my brother used to scare me with that one line, because I don't know why it was so scary, but it was still to this day scary as hell. And that's why I don't watch any horror movies, because I'm
You look
chicken
like-
shit. Yeah. Totally. But you know what other scary movies like? You know about Wait Until Dark? Scary movie.
Yeah.
She's blind, but he was in the house. She couldn't see him. Like those kind of movies are just frightening.
Lady in a
Don't
cage.
you think? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I'm talking too much.
Do all of you know who Shelley Winters was?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you know who Shelley Winters was.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
you
We're all
know,
over
those
Shelley
crowds.
Winters, yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any other questions out there?
Yes, sir.
I have a question, and I know you're gonna say probably that anytime anyone tries to come to the house, like any old house, how in movies people try to like the killer sneaks up on people. Like even right now we're watching like Scream the series, and like we're like, what kind of shoes does this guy wear? Because everyone else is like through the house,
Yeah.
but he just flies by. And did they deal with that at all on set? Like, I mean, like with floors creaking, or did they do anything like that?
Well, certainly the thing that happens a lot on movies is that they don't actually take the sound of the scene as it happens. And even if they do, they take it into into a studio and do Foley. And they really design that sound very specifically.
Yeah.
So in terms of not hearing whatever killer or murderer or bad guy, the reason why you don't hear them is because they don't want you to. And so it's very designed that, it's movie magic. I don't want you to know.
Movie magic.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. That's right.
Movies are so complex and so much goes into them. You can watch a movie 100 times and pick up something different about it. For example, when I was 13, the first Friday the 13th was my least favorite one because it was hard to compete with the bigger budgeted sequels. Now things have completely flipped, and I really appreciate the creativity of the limitations that they had. It was completely ballsy to take this sweet mother and make her a killer.
Yeah.
So now the first one's my favorite one. My question for you all is, how do you view your work differently now, and what little pieces have you picked up on that you really appreciate now that you didn't appreciate when you first came out?
No, go ahead, because
Well,
I don't have anything immediate.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, over the span of a career, especially being on a soap opera for so many years, for 12 years, you play a character that grows from being, well, she was supposed to be a teenager. I was in my 20s already, but, grows as a person, grows into adulthood, goes through trials and tribulations. And I look back on when I rewatch Friday the 13th, or if it comes across when I'm channel surfing, I'll look back on the young actress, of Lauren Marie Taylor, and my interpretation of Vicky as trying to be a little bit on the sexy side. And I think, yeah, that kind of worked. The awkwardness that I wanted to put across for Vicky, knowing that she wasn't, Sandra and all boom, or Kirsten and ooh la la. She's, an ordinary girl just trying to, get it on with a dude. And so to play her that way, when I first watched it, I was like, ugh. But now that I'm older and I can appreciate the interpretation and compare it to other things that I've done, I'm like, you know what? That does work for Vicky. It worked. It worked to make her a little bit on the shy, a little bit on the uncomfortable with being sexy side. So yeah.
And also in that vein, just in terms of me re-watching Friday the 13th Part 2, because certainly I'd like to remind myself of it when I'm going to conventions or whatever, is how much, in Part 1 also, how much I enjoy the performances more now, having lived with them for a while, that you start to really see the subtleties that you didn't pay attention to when you first saw them.
I love the two of you in the first Friday.
You too.
Everyone loves the two of you.
Well, I haven't seen any of the other movies because horror movies freak me out. But I love you guys. I can't wait to go watch part 2. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna watch part 2 for sure. And then I can report back.
That's real love right there.
But yeah. I won't get scared. But for me, they did the kill scene one time. One time. It was so low budget, and the blood
No double takes.
was stained your skin, and so they were losing the light, and they had me all ready. We did the kill, and we did it once, and then I jumped on the back of Tom Savini's scooter to go to a shower to get the blood off. So it was different. First of all, this Friday the 13th was so low budget that they were moving, like they were flying by the seat of their pants, too. And I think that there's something charming about that now, because everything is so
Immediate, yes.
So, movies now, with CGI, with all of it, it's just,
And 100 takes.
oh yeah. We were just really kids at a camp, and it was really kind of organic, having fun, yeah. It wasn't like,
Didn't feel like a job.
no, it didn't feel like a job. We were having a good time. You, Ron?
What do you have to say about that?
I'm just as good now as I was then. I'm older.
No, you're better, Ron. You're better.
We all are. I think living has something to say about that, just living life. But this will be the only chance to plug my new movie. And it's called Dark Tales. It'll be coming out at the end of the summer, and directed by a very famous Argentinian director, Ezio Massa. And I have the lead, and I play an old man. Not too hard to do that. And I hope you all get a chance to look at it. Dark Tales.
Yeah.
That brings me to, I'll piggyback off of that, and do any of you others have any upcoming projects that you want to talk about, or can talk about, or anything you're excited about, or life, whatever, Sorry.
Want to start with me?
Yes.
Well, I want to let you all know that, first I'll tell you, there's a movie called Lost and Found in Cleveland. And it's a spoof on Antiques Roadshow. And it's coming out, and it's going to be great. There's a lot of big people in it, like Martin Sheen, and really kind of spoofy. I do a little cameo in it, where I'm bringing a dresser to be appraised. It might get cut out though, but my husband, I'll tell you why it might get cut out. Well, my husband's also in it. I'm married to Mark Wahlberg, the television host, who's the host of Temptation Island. It's on right now, and it's a good season. But he was the host of Antiques Roadshow. And so he's playing, since his name is Mark Wahlberg, everybody always teases him about his name being Mark Wahlberg, but his name was Mark Wahlberg before Mark Wahlberg's name. But so in this movie, they spoofed it even more, and his name in the movie is Tom L. Hanks. So hopefully I'm still in it when it comes out, and I'm just doing a little cameo, but it should be cute. It'll be a cute movie.
It was funny because, before the internet, or maybe when it was brand new, before we had IMDb, essentially, right? I read something about you, because I was always like a really big, research nerd on my favorite horror actors in the early 90s. And I'm like, she's married to Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
What?
Mark.
And then the internet happened, and I saw you're married to a different Mark Wahlberg.
I know.
But I read that the newspaper or something.
Well, I'll tell you something very inside that nobody would ever know, is that when you join the union, you know, you have to, if there's another person in the union with your name, you have to change your name. And when I was a very little girl, like, I had to join Equity, which is the theater union, at 6½, and there was another Robin Morgan in the union. And so they told my mom, she can't be Robin Morgan. So I didn't have a middle name, so they just, well, call her Robbi anyway, would that be okay? So that's how I got to be Robbi. But then I married my husband, and there's another Mark Wahlberg, so he added an L, so Mark L. Wahlberg.
And I think the last name is spelled differently too.
Yes,
If you pay attention.
yes, we have no H.
Right.
But,
Right. Upcoming projects for you guys.
I'm in a Canadian full-length feature called In a Violent Nature, and I play an older woman towards the end who picks up a younger woman, and I had a 4-page monologue. I haven't memorized all that, but anyway, all I can say is that I know a little bit too much about blood and dead things, and I think I freak out the girl that's hitchhiking, and the rest can't tell you. And then I just finished a little horror short film called Pretty Face, and I'm the mother of the final girl.
Oh,
yay!
20 years ago,
With my new project.
yes, my son was born, and that has been my project ever since. And I actually, ended up, I stopped acting and went to work for the Daily News so I could have health insurance. So at this point, I don't have any upcoming projects unless anybody knows about it. Oh yes, that's right. Ron is.
He knows.
Yeah, he's writing a film. He directed a film.
You are, Ron?
Yeah.
Anything in it for me?
And
No, for me, Robbi.
For you?
we're in discussions. My people are talking to his people.
Are you allowed to share anything about your film and the storyline maybe?
Yeah, we've done about, I want Bill to be in it because he needs some footage, because he hasn't done anything to
Get back to work, right?
Get back to work. And they're really not very good. I directed 12 of them. And it's my acting class in New York. You know, they're little short films. It's on YouTube, no big thing, but I wanted Bill to get some footage, so we're casting him as a detective who's head of the strange happenings, vampires and witches in New York City. So that should give you a little hint.
That sounds wonderful.
I haven't seen the script yet.
And the contract.
Right.
Who was the hardest partier on set?
Are you on set?
Yes.
Well, listen, I would have to say, listen, Stu and I, being the, kind of delinquents of our set, we were all in cabins that we would sleep in most of the time during the day, and in a Boy Scout camp that was around the lake from where we were actually shooting, and Stu and I would torture Kirsten and Marie by scratching on their screens in the middle of the night. So we were probably the biggest brats.
Yeah, and I have some pictures in my photo album from behind the scenes, and I don't know what happened, but because we were shooting at night, it looked like everybody was always wasted. And once in a blue, I'll look at some of the pictures and go, wait a minute, that's a bottle of Jack Daniels in the corner. That's funny. I don't know who was drinking it, but it wasn't me because I was underage.
Yeah, and I'll sell you some real estate in New Mexico.
Hardest part of your on set for you guys? I know you got smaller roles. I don't know how many days you work.
Well, let's just put it this way. I'm almost 40 years in recovery.
Oh, wow.
So there was a time, but yeah, we were partying for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we weren't, it wasn't like that, but, definitely partying. Tom Savini, Tasso, oh yeah. a lot of fun, yeah.
Well, first of all, congratulations on 40 years.
Oh, it's coming
Congratulations on 39 and a half years.
Thank you.
That's what one day at a time. Yeah, and always, right?
Yep, that's right. Everything's one day at a time. I mean, look at the guys in the submarine. Oh my goodness. What were they thinking? What were they thinking?
But certainly, you know, just in terms of part two, back to party. The one thing was, because we were shooting all night long, breakfast became dinner. So the thing that became, you know, kind of what would be, you know, the competition became, okay, who can bring the most interesting booze to breakfast from whatever, you know, part of the world that you're from.
Oh my goodness.
And so breakfast was, you know, that was our party time.
Was it hard to make the movies?
It is so much fun. I'm telling you, you know, if you do become an actor and you have, you know, the luck and the privilege to do a film, it is so much fun. It is the best job in the world. If you happen to be lucky enough to be working, it is the best job in the world.
Here, here.
Yes, good.
Absolutely.
Yes,
What was the best night or scene of shooting?
best night or scene of shooting for you?
Oh, wait, we
Well,
were
no,
not even that.
They
Well,
get
I-
stoned,
you know-
they don't remember.
No. You know, of course, and you have to realize that there's always a crew there, you know, so there's like 15 people in the room, no matter what you're doing. But I do have to admit that being naked with Marta Kober in bed, you know, for the majority of the night, you know, that was pretty good.
They didn't have intimacy coordinators back then.
No. We had,
Which they have now.
Yeah.
Do you know that? They have intimacy coordinators, so I think that time was on your side.
oh God, yes. Yeah, we were like, I am very lucky that it was 42 years ago.
Yes. Anyone else?
I think running in the woods for me was fun because Sean Cunningham was behind me, and it was all improv. He was running, you know, they were running with a handheld camera at the time, and just sort of telling me what to do in the moment. You know, Robbi, your leg is hurt. You're limping. Now fall. Now, you know, like totally improvising the whole thing, and you know, I jumped out of the Jeep, and that was fun, and it was fun. It was just all fun and games. I mean, we were doing a movie, but it was just fun, and the people that you get to work with, you know, if you're lucky, you have a good time. I wasn't with anybody else on the movie, you know, except, so I didn't get to meet Kevin Bacon, I didn't get to meet Adrienne, I didn't meet any of the other counselors, you know, I just met Crazy Ralph, who was the quietest, sweetest man until they called action, and he became this weird, scary dude. Even the way he got on the bike, like his body, just the way, he was just scary. And but during the movie, he would sit and be quiet. You guys, is he in part two?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So he's a sweet guy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's about it.
I liked our campfire scene. You know, and then Stu Charno comes out, and you know, half naked with that thing on his head. That was a lot of fun, roasting marshmallows for real. And being a city girl and never ever experiencing camp or roasting a marshmallow or anything like that in my life, with darkness and quiet, it was a lot of fun. And the worst scene was that scene. Just saying.
I need to watch
She
the
didn't like
movie.
it.
I need to watch the movie, but it's making me very nervous about what happened.
Laura Marie, some of them are looking like, what is that? You better tell
Oh, you
them.
know what these are.
Ow!
Come to the photo op.
She's doing a brown panty photo op.
Anyway,
Promo that.
Ron,
Sell it.
I know what your favorite is.
What is that?
When Kevin Bacon ad-libbed.
You're absolutely right. Kevin Bacon is the coolest actor I've ever worked with. We rehearsed the scene a certain way. We're filming, and all of a sudden he's going over to my motorcycle. I'm saying, where are you going, dude? In my mind. And I went over there, we were improvising totally, and I grabbed that police object out of his hand. And to me, it was totally spontaneous, and no wonder he became Kevin Bacon. Brilliant actor.
You said that you, obviously, you really didn't have scenes with but a couple people in your truck driver, the diner, right? I read this on the internet, and I don't know if it's true because it's the internet, and take everything I read on the internet with a grain of salt. You worked with Betsy Palmer in Peter Pan? Is that true or false?
It was my brother.
Okay, see, internet, not 100% true.
This
right?
is so cool. Betsy Palmer was, a legit theater actress, big movie actress, But I don't know if all of you know this, maybe you do. She needed some cash. So she took the role of Mrs. Voorhees because she needed a car and never had any idea that she would become this, infamous Mrs. Voorhees. But my older brother, did a production of Peter Pan with Betsy Palmer, and she was Peter. She was Peter. My brother was one of the Lost Boys. He was 16. And Sandy Duncan was Wendy. And then Sandy Duncan, of course, I don't know if any of you know this, but Sandy Duncan became Peter Pan on Broadway for years and years and years and years and years. So yeah.
Do any of you know who the first choice was for Pamela Voorhees?
No. Oh, yeah.
It was Shelley Winters. Sean told me that.
Wow.
She turned it
That would
out.
have been more fun.
Wow.
Wow, she would have been scary.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Anyone else out there? I can wrap us up. I guess? Yes. Don't be shy.
Have any of you guys, or all of you guys, or maybe none of you guys, I don't know, have taken any harsh criticism from anybody for being in a movie like that? And I don't mean from like snobby film critics, but just maybe people in your personal lives or something like that.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, first of all, Siskel and Ebert actually liked our movie. They did. What happened was they had a review before it even came out, and they totally dissed it. They're like, oh yeah, this is going to be another one of those scream, run-of-the-mill, teenage, blah, blah, blah. And then when it came out, they had to review it instead of just reviewing the trailer. And they said, you know what, we actually like this movie. So it's kind of cool, so that's out there. I will say that when I was on ABC Network on the soap opera, part of our clause, 20,000 page contract, one of the little clauses says you will not embarrass the network in any way. One of the things that they considered an embarrassment was the fact that I was in Friday the 13th Part 2, that I put perfume in my hoo-ha, and they were mortified that I changed my underwears on screen, even though you really didn't see anything. So whenever I would do appearances for the soap opera with ABC, no talkie about Friday the 13th Part 2. No talk of it whatsoever. And he never came up in soap opera interviews in any of the magazines, anywhere. So yeah. Wow.
My brother and his family, they're born-again Christians. And so all of his kids and all of his grandkids are not proud that their Uncle Ronnie is in Friday the 13th.
What do they know? What do they know?
They still love me.
They've seen it. They see it at friends' houses.
Certainly, I think probably my wife has seen it once, my mother never saw it. And I don't even think so much that she either cared one way or the other than the fact that she didn't think it was appropriate. So, and that's probably the harshest criticism I got about my whole career. Was that just that she was not interested to see it at all in any way, shape, or form.
You know, when you're actors and you're auditioning, you have no idea what, you know, when we all got Friday the 13th, well, I don't know about part 2, but, you know, you audition. If you're lucky enough, you get the job, right? You're grateful. We had no idea that Friday the 13th was gonna, become gigantic.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and then it's like, holy moly, what are the chances? And it has become,
40
it's, yes,
years ago.
yes. So criticism, I mean, who cares? You know, we were lucky enough to be part of this iconic franchise, you know, that still has touched so many people all these years later. So.
At the end of the day, it is only a movie, right?
That's right, that's right.
You want to say something, Ron? No?
So I'm kind of grateful to have been a part of it, you know.
Still am, and certainly,
Thank you.
yeah, meeting everybody at these conventions is a
Yeah.
blast.
Yeah.
You know, there's no other way, you know, I wouldn't rather spend, I do not want to spend my weekend any other way. It's really fun.
You probably get more adoration than anything
Yeah.
else though, right?
Sorry?
Which balance, you probably get more adoration than anything else though, right? So
Yeah.
that helps balance it out or
Absolutely.
clear it out or however I want to say it. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, but most of you, I mean, you all have been in the business for a very long time, and this one's really geared a lot towards you, Ron, but for everybody. Do you have any advice for aspiring young actors, either trying to get into the business, learning the craft? I know you're a drama teacher, right?
I hate to say this. Choose another profession. So you have something to fall back on, whatever, teacher, electrician, something to fall back on.
Yeah. Ditto.
I mean, certainly, yeah, you do have to make a living. But again, it's the kind of thing where you do it because you have no other choice, because it's something that you have to do. And yes, you do have to find a way to make a living, because work is always very scarce. But you know, to a young actor, it's just, you know, hey, just do it. You know, do it for your mother, your father, your sister, your brother. You know, anybody that will watch you, anybody, you know, just do it. And just, you know, just say, hey,
Yeah,
let me show you something.
Bill, I agree. Also, so the other side of the coin is this: follow your passion.
Yeah.
No matter what it is. No matter what it is. Because it's not work if you love what you do.
Do you have anything to add, any advice for young actors?
I was just
You were so young when you started.
Yes, I was. I was a child actress. You know, the thing is we've all said it, so you gotta do what you love. It doesn't matter what it is that you do. But if it's something that you, like Bill said, that you love it, that you have to do it, you gotta go for it. Because we only live once, you know? And we only live once, and you gotta go for it. You never know. You really never know. So, and you gotta have something to fall back on too. I mean, even after, you know, you work, but we all do something else. I mean, I teach tap lessons, you know, in LA. I'm a dancer. You gotta do something else in between. Because if you're not Kevin Bacon, or if you're not Meryl Streep, you know, or Meg Ryan, or
Shelley Winters.
or Shelley Winters. we all need to eat. We need to eat. So.
Yeah, and don't do it to be famous. Everybody just wants to be so famous, to be a TikTok star or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you'll get found out eventually that you're a poser. You know, you have to do it because you love it, because you love the work, you love the process, and you love being around creative types, and just that you love the process of movie making in every form, whether it be as, you know, a production assistant running around and helping out as many people as you can, to being the director, cinematographer, producer, actor, background actor, dog walker,
My husband is retired from the Department of Education. He wrote the social studies curriculum for New York State. And what does he do? He tutors children on sets of movies and TV shows, and Broadway also.
I love that.
I mean, this is what he does in his retirement, because he started out as an actor when he was young. He transitioned into having to have a job and do work, and he loves history, to going back to it to help young performers get an education while they're pursuing this passion. So it's a full circle, and it's giving back to what he loves in both areas,
And being
education
around,
and
being
acting.
around.
Creative, that's why he loves it, that's why he loves it so much, because being around creativity and the creative force. That's a great way of saying it. It is a force. Not only gives you joy, but then you give the joy out. So that's why we can't walk away. We can't. We're just trudging the road of happy destiny.
Well, to wrap it up, I saw the young one up front had a question.
So when I was a grown-up, I was thinking that I would make a movie called Horror in Hollywood.
Do it.
Do it. There's
You
a
could-
lot of material there.
You could hire all of us.
You gonna hire all of them?
Maybe zombies.
Yes. So you're an aspiring young filmmaker, huh?
I was thinking that there's gonna be a killer behind the Hollywood sign.
Ooh, don't tell anybody your ideas.
Don't tell anyone your idea, yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody might, that's a good idea.
I'll cut this out of the video.
Don't
So
tell
you can
anybody.
put
So
that under
nobody
your hat.
this is a great idea.
That's right, someone will steal it.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. And if it's what you love, learn it. Don't give up. I think they'll all tell you the same thing, right?
Do it.
Right.
Get it done.
I think that's the best way to close this.
Absolutely.
Right? Thank you guys.
Yes, thank you. Sure, absolutely. Now, do you want to do a selfie with us in the background? Okay.
I want to. Hey, you know what? Maybe I will.
We're gonna get a.
I used to be able to.
We're gonna get a little selfie with this young man.
Oh, yeah!